But I'm going to share with you a strategy that will help you to become a better networker. Is anyone interested in that? Because really the key to success in any business is the ability to network, the ability to bring people you don't know into your sphere of influence, into your comfort zone. You see, we all have a comfort zone. It was talked about a little earlier. And the fact is that if we only stay in the comfort zone, and that is everything we know, everything we're familiar with, there is no opportunities. There is no opportunity for growth within the comfort zone. All of the opportunity for growth is outside of the comfort zone. Does that make sense? And how many of us have ever met somebody? I mean, you didn't even meet them. But when we walk into a room of strangers, whether it's at a conference like this, or it's even a family reunion, or maybe a networking event, or any type of business event, would you agree that the natural instinct is to walk into that room and to seek out someone you already know? Isn't that our natural instinct? Well, there's no growth with doing that. We want to seek out folks we don't know and bring them within and into our circle of influence so that we can grow our warm market, as Mr. Hoffman talked about a little while ago. The challenge is that we have a fear. We have a fear of what to say, what they might say. We have a fear of rejection, a fear of criticism for what we want to share, so we don't ultimately do it. Every single associate in this room, I mean, every one of us, has experienced at some time in our career in prepaid legal services, that moment when you're in a place of business or you're at a store, you may be at the bank, you're at Kinko's, you're at office or UPS store, and you see someone sharp in there, and you want to talk to them. This guy is sharp. Is that right? I'd love to share the prepaid legal opportunity with them. And you go on for the next 5 minutes just thinking about how to approach him, and then they walk out the store. And you're like, I should have said something. Is that now, you may not jump up and down like that, but how many agree that if you could, you probably would? Because you know you missed that opportunity. Or if you're at an event and you're talking with someone, you might be a little overeager about your prepaid legal opportunity and say a little too much too soon about prepaid legal and kind of scare them off. Is that right? You take it from cold to hot. You don't even go to the warm part. You take it from cold to hot, and then they break out. Now, let me share with you what I want you to do right now is I'd like you to put your notepad down for just a second. Put your notepad to the side. We got to use our mind for this one because you won't have notes when you're out there interacting and doing the thing you do. You don't have to go out and prospect to be successful. You need to get that mindset of prospecting while you're out because opportunities will present themselves when you're not ready. Does that make sense? So you won't have notes. So you really have to exercise your mind. And this is not an exoteric thing, so you don't have to close your eyes. But I want you to have a clean slate in your mind. And I'm going to give you an image of 9 items. 9 items. And I want you to hold these 9 items in your mind. Okay. The first image I want you to hold in your mind is the image of a rural mailbox. A rural mailbox. You know the mailbox I'm talking about, right? With the flag that goes up. A rural mailbox. And then on the side of that mailbox, in big block letters, is name. What's on the side of the mailbox? Name. Sitting on top of the mailbox is a replica of a house. It's a model of a house. And it's sitting on top of the mailbox. It's really heavy. The mailbox is bending. It's a house. What's on there? A house. As you peer through the window of the house, you'll see a family portrait above the fireplace. It's a family portrait. What kind of portrait? Family portrait above the fireplace. As you go up the chimney, sitting on top of the chimney, on top of that house, is a glove, but it's a work glove. It's a smoldering work glove. What kind of glove? Work glove. Now, sticking out of the finger of the glove, can you see it? Sticking out of the finger of the glove is a scroll or a parchment. It's sticking right out of the finger of the glove, a scroll or a parchment. Now, coming out of the other end of the scroll is an airplane. The scroll is holding the tail of an airplane. Can you see it, guys? An airplane. I look kind of crazy doing that, don't I? Okay. An airplane. Now, the airplane's making this terrible noise. Because what you thought were propellers are actually tennis rackets. Can you see the tennis rackets? Okay. Okay. So you got these tennis rackets, okay? They're making this terrible noise. And then out of the window of a plane comes a light bulb. What kind of bulb? A light bulb. And a tennis racket hits the light bulb over the goal post. Can everybody see that? It hits the light bulb over the goal post. Now, I just gave you 9 items. 9 items. Does everybody have those 9 items? Everybody in the front here have the 9 items? Okay. This is what I need you to do. In a minute, I'm going to ask you to interact with each other. I need you to just find a partner in a minute. Find a partner, and I want you to give that partner the 9 items I just gave you. And then when you're done, your partner's going to give you back those 9 items. It's important that you know those 9 items in your mind, not on paper. You know those 9 items. I'm going to give you 1 minute, because that's all the time we have. Go. All right, you guys are having much too fun with the 9 items. Okay, time. All right. Now, do you guys feel like you got the 9 items down? You feel like you got it down? All right. Here we go. Now, this is where you're probably thinking Mr. Malloy has lost his mind. Yeah, well, it's been lost for a long time. Okay. But the fact is, these 9 items are important. What I just shared with you is something called a conversation stack. And I gave it to you in that so that you can imagine it and see it, because when you're meeting with someone or you get engaging in a conversation, you won't have the opportunity to pull out, a cheat sheet on your hand or something like some people, but you won't have the opportunity to do that. So what you're going to do is you're going to basically go to this imaginary stack I just gave you, and it's going to help you to develop rapport. Everybody say develop rapport. Okay. Now the key is in building and opening relationships for prospecting and prepaid legal services. The key to success is developing rapport with the people that you're prospecting in prepaid legal. You ultimately want to become a friend. You want to develop or open a relationship to a friendship. Does that make sense? Because would you agree that people don't care what you know until they know that you care? And this will show that. This will basically, because I tell you, the key to developing rapport is to find common ground. The key to developing rapport is to find common ground in an area. If you find that you're like someone, if you have similar interests to someone else, if you're like them, they'll tend to like you. If you don't have similar interests, and this is all at a subconscious level, if someone realizes that I don't have anything in common with this person, if they're not like you, they'll tend to not like you. Does that make sense? And this all happens at a subconscious level. So what you're going to do as an educated associate in this philosophy I'm sharing with you is you're going to now steer the subconscious for that prospect to like you in every interaction in a very short period of time. How many like this concept? Now, in the hands of the wrong mindset, this is deadly stuff. So I trust that you will basically take this into the marketplace with all integrity and good intentions. Does that make sense? So here we go. Why did I give you these 9 items? Well, in meeting someone for the first time, you basically, your goal, everybody say goal. Your goal is to develop rapport. In other words, your goal is to find common ground. That's it. That's your goal, is to find common ground. Now, you don't want to, all right, let's just take it like this. What was the first item I gave you? Mailbox. On the side of the mailbox was what? That's what we're looking for. When you first meet someone for the first time, the first thing you're looking for is their name. Is that right? How you doing? My name is Cliff Malloy. Your name is? Howard Jones. Oh, Howard Jones. Jones. How do you spell that, Howard? See, now, I'm not really needing the name, the spelling of their last name, but it helps me to drive their name into my mind. Because how many times do we hear somebody's name, we meet somebody, we hear their name comes in and right out. And we forget their name instantly. Does that happen to just me? Okay? Absolutely not. People will forgive you. They will literally forgive you if you don't remember their name. But they will love you long time. if you remember their name. If you remember someone's name, especially over time, they're like, oh, they will be so impressed with that and with you, and they will like you even more. So the name is the sweetest word to anyone's ear. Does that make sense, guys? Their own name. So the first thing you want to get is a name. If you're meeting someone, if you're interacting, if you're at a social event, first thing is you want is the name. So you think name. The second item was what? The house. So what kind of areas would make you, would jog you in to ask, what kind of questions would you ask regarding the house? Where do you live? Where do you live? Now, keep in mind, the goal is to find common ground. So if you're meeting with someone, you got their name, and you find out where they live, if it just so happens that you have that in common, stay there. Stay in that area, and you develop common ground by finding similar interests to that person. So if that person's from a certain town in the United States, and you used to live in that town in the United States, you can stay right there in that area. You don't have to basically say, okay, that's great. Okay, I got about 7 other things to talk to you about. You just want to stay right in that area and develop common ground, develop rapport right there in that home area. What's the next item? The next item was the portrait. Is that right? The family portrait. What kind of questions? Family. Do you have family, in that area? So you ask about family. And of course, this is important because you're going to store this in the back of your mind for the recruiting later on with regard to a lot of things we talk about: form, family, occupation, recreation, money, or message, so forth and so on. So family. The next item was what? Work glove. Okay, work glove. What kind of questions? Work. Okay, work-related questions. The next item? Scroll of parchment, certifications, education. You can talk about that. The next item was what? The airplane. Okay, the airplane coming out of the scroll. What kind of questions? Travel, recreation. Where have you been? Where are you going? Where would you like to go? If you had all the money in the world and all the time at the same time, where would you like to travel? Where have you been? You can find common ground. Now, of course, your goal is to find similar interests with these people in that area. If you both have been to Punta Cana, if you met somebody and they've been to the Dominican Republic lately, you can say, oh, our company sends people to the Dominican Republic. All expense paid vacations. It was incredible. So forth and so on. The next item was what? The tennis rackets. The tennis rackets. What kind of questions? Sports, hobbies. Very powerful. People are very passionate about their sports and or their hobbies, depending on what they're into. Also, the next item was what? Light bulb, ideas, thoughts, concepts. Does that make sense? The next item, goalposts, goals, ambitions. All right, now, we have the linked formula for these 9 items. Now, the key is when you meet somebody is you want to basically go down this until you find the area of common ground. Does that make sense, guys? Just basically, just don't worry about remembering the different words, work, school, education. Just remember the visual picture of the things stacked one on top of each other, and you'll get the associated meanings to it, and you'll find yourself developing rapport with these individuals because you're not asking 21 questions. That's not the goal. The goal is to find the area that you both have in common, stay in that area, and you'll realize that it gets more natural. Now, this is what we need to do. You're going to pair up again with someone. Now, if it's preferable in the next 2 minutes that I have to pair up with someone you don't know, whether they're in front of you, behind you, or on either side of you. It's best if you can pair up with someone you don't already know. And for the next 2 minutes, basically we're going to look to go down this list and to find the area of interest and stay in that area for just 2 minutes. Go. In case you forget, look on the screen and you'll see some of the items. In case you forget, look on the screen, you'll see some of the items. Okay. All right, guys. You guys are getting much too comfortable, boy. I tell you, it's just developing relationships all over the place. Give yourselves a hand. Give yourselves a hand. Give yourselves a hand. All right, guys. All right. Was that fun? How many of you already felt like you were developing rapport right away? Is that right? Did it not feel mechanical? It doesn't feel mechanical once you get into it. It feels natural. How many of you it feels natural? And that's the key. If you do something that feels good, it feels natural, it's fun, you'll do it more often. You talk to more people, you'll have more success. TTP. Everybody say TTP. Talk to people. You want to have more success? TTMP. Talk to more people.